Hello everybody, this is Butchramek. It is August 10th and very hot, and I'm going to do episode 3 of Around the Campfire. Today I want to talk about your legacy. How do you want to be remembered? If you could write your own epitaph on your tombstone, what would it say? Uh, Tough question, because a lot of people a lot of people pride themselves in being nice guys. I think, to me, if I was to be remembered as a nice guy, oh, it would make me sick. It's not that I want to be a bad guy, don't get me wrong, but being a nice guy, like the Mr. Cleaver type guys, for those of you that are old enough to remember Leave It to Beaver, Mr. Cleaver was a nice guy. He never did anything. Um, I want to be remembered for someone that did things. I'm not as adventurous now as I was 15, 10 years ago, but I still like to live in the adventure. Uh, I would like to be remembered as somebody who made a difference, somebody who influenced men and influenced people to follow God. And that's something that I think that's how I would like to be remembered. I'd like to be remembered as a great father, as a good husband, as a good son, as a good brother, and just someone who cared, supported, helped, and molded younger people toward lives that they need to live, life that they were created to live. Yeah, I think the worst thing that could ever happen to me was somebody to walk by my tombstone, and I'm probably not going to have a tombstone, so don't worry about it, but have it say, "Here lies Butch Schramek. He was nice." No, I don't want that. I want to be remembered as somebody who made a difference, who helped people, who changed people's lives, and who fathered great sons, and who loved his wife to the limit, and was a good friend. My brothers in Christ, I really cherish them. Uh, I can't even tell you how much I respect and I long to be with those guys. And I want to be known as somebody who made a difference. Uh, and as, I'm not what I would say super adventurous, but I do want to be remembered as someone that did take adventures. I think some of the biggest adventures that I've ever done was the biggest one that I can think of off the top of my head was my wife's 50th birthday. Uh, I took her hot air ballooning. Now, just so you know, I am scared to death of anything over about 4 feet off the ground. I have a horrible fear of heights. But yet, we went hot air. We went in a hot air balloon, and it was pretty cool. She loved it, and I endured it, and I survived it. And to me, that's an adventure. If you can get through it and survive, and have some sort of enjoyment, that's an adventure. Years ago, a group of us went whitewater rafting. That was hilarious, and it was so much fun. I can't even remember how to tell you how fun it was. But those are the kind of things I want to be remembered as. Hunting trips with my dad. Oh man, when we started finally going hog hunting instead of hunting for deer, that was just so much fun because the guides that we went with were so excitable and they just got into it so much. And we had a blast. It's just, paintballing. We went paintballing as a group, and that was hilarious too. I mean, like I said, we just had fun. Uh, those are adventures. Those are adventures, the physical adventures that take something out of you, but pay off in the long run. And it was just amazing to see that happen and to experience those. I got to experience a couple of them with my sons, which was fantastic as well. But it's just, you know, living that life that God intended. That God did not intend for us to sit on our butts. I mean, and that's what I do now, unfortunately, because it's about all I can do. But even back in the day when Jesus walked on the water, all those guys were in the boat sitting on their hands, doing nothing, except for one, Peter. Peter said, God, can I come out to you? And Jesus said, yeah, come on. And as long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, he stayed up walking on the water. But as soon as he turned to look at the water and look down, he started to sink. You have to keep your eyes focused on Jesus to live an adventure. If not, it's not really an adventure. It's just, doing something foolish, doing something crazy. I mean, an adventure can really quickly turn into something foolish and dangerous unless you're doing it for the right reasons. And that's the whole key. I just think we have to live life to the full. God intended us to be created to live life to the full. And that doesn't mean sitting on our hands, and that doesn't mean watching other people do things and living vicariously through other people. That's not what it's about. It's about living your life the way God intended you to live. And that's as a man, living in an adventure, fathering our children to live in adventures, raising up our brothers to live in adventure, and just to have fun. One of the things that drives me bonkers, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, when you look at all the pictures of Jesus, and you look at all the movies that are made or the stories that you can see online, Jesus doesn't smile. Jesus is so dour, and I mean, I understand that they're trying to paint a dramatic picture, but when Jesus went into town, the children ran to him and flocked toward him. Do you think they would do that if he never smiled? I mean, I have this vision in my head of Jesus walking around the road with the disciples, and all of a sudden he's pulling a practical joke on Matthew, or doing something to Peter to make everybody laugh. That's how I picture Jesus. I think he was a regular guy, and he liked to have fun. And I mean, obviously God had a sense of humor. I mean, to understand God's sense of humor, all you have to look at is some of his creations. I mean, what is a platypus? Is it a duck? Is it a penguin? What is it? Look at a giraffe. I mean, what did God just say one day? Let me make this yellow spotted horse with a big long neck. He has a sense of humor, and he likes to share that with us. So we need to make sure that we share that with other people. If you can't laugh at yourself, most of all, something's wrong. You're missing something. And if you can laugh at yourself, it's easier to laugh with other people. And that's just a key, I think, to life. Part of the adventure is humor. I believe that. I think if I could break it down, and I'm just spitballing here, this is coming right off the top of my head. For those of you that don't know it, I don't have anything written down. I'm just talking. And right, wrong, or indifferent, good, bad, or ugly, I just talk. But if you break down adventure, I think I could break it down into 3 key points, maybe 4. First one is to be able to laugh. You have to be able to laugh. Second, you have to be able to love. You have to be able to love your wife, love your children, love your family. And third, you have to be able to influence and instill what God wants in you and share that with other people. You have to be able to share God's walk with you. It's really, really important to do that. I think a lot of people, and you all know that I've preached in the past. I've preached quite a bit. And I understand that the importance of talking the scriptures to people and talking things to people. But sometimes people need to see an example, to live an example, to walk with an example. So if you can be that example of God living in you, of Jesus leading your life. If you can lead by that example, people are going to see that. People are going to say, hey, what's up with him? Why is he so different? Why is he like that? Why is he laughing? Why is his life so good? And believe me, it's not always going to be, bubblegum and roses and popsicles or whatnot. There are going to be tough times. God created us to endure. God created us to be able to live through troubles and trials and tribulations. But if we keep focused on him and know that we're not doing these things by ourselves, it makes it easier to get through. I think, and that's the important part, is realizing that, hey, yeah, my life sucks right now. I'm in the pits. God, you're next to me. Let's get out of here. And that's what it takes. And unfortunately, and I'm going to speak for myself, unfortunately, sometimes I'll live in the pits and the dumps like that for a few hours before I realize, sorry about that, my alarm's going off on my phone. But if I can remember that faster, like I said, sometimes it takes me days to realize, oh gosh, everything's horrible. I'm in the worst place possible, and I'm all alone. But you're not all alone. That's what we have to remember. We're never alone. God's with us, and once we realize that, it makes everything that we're going through a little less traumatic, a little less insane. God calms me. I think that's the important thing. God calms me like nothing else can. And I look for that faster now. When I'm not doing well, when I'm feeling crappy, or when I'm in the dumps and I'm depressed, I look for God faster because I know he's the way out. And with him I can endure anything. And it's really important that we realize that. Like I said, sometimes I still get stuck in my own poor, pitiful me attitude, and I don't look for God right away. But we need to look at God quickly. Some of the most spiritual people I know are like that. I mean, it's amazing to me how some of these people that I know are smarter than me. No, it's not amazing because I understand that, but when I say they're smarter than me, it's because they look to God fast. They look to God first. Not like me. I look to myself first, saying, okay, how can I fix this? I have to be able to fix this. And by the time I realize I can't fix it, I would have said, duh, if I would have went to God a long time ago, it would be done. It would be over this now. So it's just important to realize that God fixes things. And he fixes things for us. He fixes things with us. And he wants us to look to him. And he wants us to be able to share what's going on in our lives with him, and have the courage and the faith and the strength to rely on him to get it done. That's I think one of the most important things I can tell you is God is there. When you don't feel like anybody's there, God is there. And he wants you to come to him for help, to come to him for counsel, and to come to him for just so you can feel his arms wrapped around you in a great big hug. So that's all I got for this week, guys. That's a lot I could go on and on for hours talking about my legacy and God helping me, but I don't want to overstay my welcome. Again, this is Butch Schrammick with episode 3 of Around the Campfire, Around the Fire Pit. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you again. Take care.